I think if Suchit sir is ready, we can start it off, Satya sir.
Sure. So good afternoon to one and all present over here in this meeting. I, Mr.SATYANARAYANA, Assistant Professor, Department of IIC and Innovation Ambassador, IIC Cell-SVCE-Bengaluru, inviting you all for the webinar on mentoring session for student entrepreneurs through industrial experts. Before we start with the event, I wholeheartedly welcome our Honorable Chairman Shri V. Muniappa sir for this inaugural event. Due to Sir busy schedule, Sir couldn't able to join, but he conveyed his heartfelt wishes to us. Now I would like to invite our Honorable CED Sir, Dr. Shashidhar Muniappa. So Sir is not able to attend this event due to his preoccupied schedule, but conveyed his wishes. And also I invite Dr. Nageshwar Gupta M, Principal, Sri Venkateshwara College of Engineering, so who is with us in conducting this event till the last minute due to some emergency call. Sir has left just meeting right now. Sir will be joining at any moment. So I welcome Sir. I also welcome Dr. Nirmala S. Gupta, Head of the Curates Department, who is behind this event in conducting it on behalf of IIC Cell Sri Venkateshwara College of Engineering. I welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you, Satya.
I wholeheartedly welcome HODs of various departments of Sri Venkateshwara College of Engineering for this inaugural event of mentoring session for student entrepreneurs through industry experts organized by IIC Cell Sri Venkateshwara College of Engineering, Bengaluru. I welcome all the HODs of various departments. I wholeheartedly welcome the student fraternity of Sri Venkateshwara College of Engineering, Bengaluru, who is taking part of this event as a participants for this inaugural event of mentoring session for student entrepreneurs through industry experts organized by IIC Cell. Last but not least, always the best, I also extend my heartfelt welcome to the participants from various institutes throughout India who has taken out their time to attend this event to learn few insights from the industry experts, Mr. Suchit. I wholeheartedly welcome our Pride alumni, COO of Hackmania, Mr. Suchit Reddy, who has accepted our invitation to be a resource person to share his knowledge with the students who are going to be the future entrepreneurs. I wholeheartedly welcome you, Mr. Suchit. Now, without making much delay, I request Dr. Nirmala S. Gupta ma'am to briefly introduce the Suchit to the audience. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Satya. Once again, I heartfully welcome Mr. Suchit Reddy, who is our Pride alumni of Sri Venkateshwara College of Engineering and who is working as currently Chief Operating Officer at Hackmania, Hyderabad. So it's my privilege to briefly introduce our today's event speaker. So Suchit Reddy, experienced Chief Executive Officer and Chief Operating Officer level professionals with a demonstrated history of working in information technology and services with various industries. And Suchit Reddy is being skilled in professional mentoring, entrepreneurship, operations handling, communication, sales management, team handling, motivation, and public speaking. And Suchit Reddy has got strong business development and operations professionals with a Bachelor of Degree, that is Bachelor of Engineering degree, focused in electrical, electronics, and communication engineering from our own college, Sri Venkateshwara College of Engineering, Bengaluru. And a lot of articles is being given by Suchit. One is Purple Talk, and his experience is started from 2000, I could say, from the youngster when he was a student itself, okay, working with a lot of verticals as marketing executive from 2012 only. 13, he was an event executive. 14, he was being associated with eBase, and he's been coordinated a lot of well-familiar events of our great institution like Udyukta, IEEE student branch chapter events, and he was being chairman for IEEE student branch at SVCE in 2014 and 15, August to July 15. Then he has been started his career professionally in 2015 August as managing partner in Carve Events. Then he has been worked as IT recruiter from 2015 to October 2015 to December 2015. Then he served as director and CMO in a effectiveness, and he's been worked as CEO, Chief Executive Officer also. Then he's been worked even as a director, University Relations in Hyderabad. And right now, currently, Mr. Suchit Reddy working as a Chief Operating Officer in Hackmania, Hyderabad. So we are very happy to be having our Pride alumni and vast experienced personality as a speaker for today's event. So he's going to give us a lot of insights about the mentorship towards becoming an entrepreneur for our students and faculties. So we are very happy to welcome you once again for the event as a resource person, Mr. Suchit. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for the introduction about Mr. Suchit Reddy. To add for what Nirmala madam said, Suchit Reddy is having 5,813 followers in LinkedIn, where people are reading his articles and following all his inputs to create the best futures. So with this note, without making much delay, without wasting the time, I request Mr. Suchit Reddy to take over the session and share your insights to our young entrepreneurs, which will benefit them in the future. Over to you, Suchit Reddy. Suchit, meeting is yours. You can start talking to the participants.
Okay, so hello everyone. This is Suchit Reddy. As introduced, I'm the CEO of Hackmania. So today I'm with you to talk about student entrepreneurship. And I would cover, first I would cover about myself, then about what an entrepreneur is, then about the, basically the journey of the entrepreneurs. Why should you be the student entrepreneurs and what are the challenges you get? I won't be digging deep into the startup section, digging deep into the startups, but yes, I would brush up in the time given to us. So yes, I am the alumni of SVCE from 2011 to 15. And my journey of leadership, basically, or initiative, taking initiation started at SVCE. First at Kala Vaibhava, it's our fest, Kala Vaibhava. That is when I started taking volunteer works. I started with the volunteering works, wherein I understood how to handle things. The first. First quality what I developed there was taking up the work, getting to understand how to handle things, multiple things. Let that be a very small, maybe making an Excel. So that is how I started with Kala Vaibhava. Then I did a couple of internships, as mentioned earlier, from ma'am did mention earlier. I did a couple of internships during my first year and second year, wherein I earned just a couple of thousand. Initially getting internship during 2011 was really, really difficult. The internship was really not so buzzword that time. I could hardly find, say, 2 websites which were giving us internships. And that is how I started. And now there are many tech internships. So there are many tech internships now available, and there are many startups now available. But during that time, we used to have very limited people and very limited sources and also very limited departments where we could work for. So one thing I could find was marketing and sales. So that is how I started with marketing and sales. I was earning say 1,000 rupees to 1,000 rupees a month, wherein I was working 2 to 3 hours a day, and then from there I found out something called network marketing. Just a moment.
Suchit, you got muted.
Yes. Yes, so that is when I learned about network marketing. So although now, if you ask me, I would highly not recommend going for network marketing. But back in those days, it was a new thing. I really didn't know what it was. So I experimented it with ebiz.com Private Limited, which is proved to be scam now. So I really don't recommend to anyone. But yeah, it was a part of my journey where I learned about giving presentations, getting ready properly, having a good attire, having a good appearance. I learned there during that journey, and eventually I left it. Went ahead with some more opportunities. There came IEEE. So this was the life-changing, I can say. The path I am in right now is because of IEEE. Uh, because I took up, because of my volunteer works or coordinator works, my seniors could see that I was interested, and then when I joined IEEE, they assigned me works. They assigned me a couple of roles, and from being a normal member to I went on to become program chairman, and then I became chairman of our SVCE student branch. During that time, we organized many things. We organized many workshops, say seminars, and there came an opportunity where I could attend a student leadership congress, which was held in Mysore. Where, there I learned about entrepreneurship. That is where I really learned about entrepreneurship. I could see there are people who have started up during college, and which actually surprised me. There were many people who had started up already, having 2 or 3 startups in their basket. uh, that is when something ignited me, that I have to do something. I have to take it forward. Let me just start something. Let me just take a step. That is when I went ahead. I researched about the market. I started up a service-based company which provided websites, apps, and workshops during that time, because these were in demand in those days. So I could take up that, and we formed a company called Interlogy. So I was working, that time there was nothing called startup. It was mostly like, this guy started up a company. So everybody had highest expectations that time. And but the nobody knew the ground reality. Nobody knew how the journey really is. So right now you have many people to mentor you, but back in those days there was no mentor. There was, people were not really encouraged to start up a company. But so we had to do everything on our own. And that is how I learned multiple dimensions of starting up of a company, from making a proposal to talking to the client, to getting the works done. Marketing, sales, operations, everything had to be done by just your team, that is you and your co-founder. So that was a great learning opportunity, but eventually when the market died, when that was a time when we started a static website used to cost people around 30,000, 50,000. But eventually it was as simple as just your friend doing it for a beer. So so when the market died, we closed it down. So that also was around 4 to 5 years. Then I ventured into events. We did many corporate and informal events. But in the events, I found out that there are a lot of irregularities. During my journey, I saw in event section there was a lot of irregularities, and I'm a person who likes perfection. Who if a stand has to be straight, it has to be straight. It cannot bend. That is, I was very into details. Then I found out that when that particular industry is not really good for me. It doesn't suit me. So I closed that again. I just handed it over to somebody else, and then came forward to my next venture. That is Hackmania. So in Hackmania was started by my old co-founders, the ones whom I worked with Intellogy, and then I joined them at a later point of time, where I could see that my thinking and my take on career and growth was really in line with them. So I joined them initially again, because I worked with them, they did not give me the high jobs. They asked me to prove again. So I started proving again, and here I am as a CEO of the company. And this is my recent venture, Fresh Lines, which is into corporate writing and content writing. But let's not just go into that. But so this is how my journey was, from a student in SVCE to doing the volunteer works, to next taking up responsibilities of in the college, and then trying out some good and bad things outside, learning through my mistakes, learning to know myself, and then settling where I am right now, settling what I need right now. So this is the kind of picture you could find with most of the entrepreneurs, and this is mine. So I gave you my example because I also studied at the same place. I also have seen the same people, but now you have better opportunities. So I think people could relate to that. Just a quick thing, Hackmania is a hackathon company. We do hackathons, and we provide our platforms for organizations, governments, colleges to solve their problems on ground. And right now we are working on a global level with our headquarters at Texas, USA. So yes, coming to the topic, there is entrepreneur. So entrepreneur is a debatable term, I can say. Entrepreneurs are generally people who run businesses. They are termed as entrepreneurs. But when it comes to startup, people tend to have innovation and long vision in mind. So there is a very slight difference between an entrepreneur and a businessman. So or an entrepreneur and a startup enthusiast, there is a very slight difference. Startup may or may not ultimately give you money, but entrepreneur's main vision would be to get money, get the finances done. Yeah, thin line difference is what I call is the motive behind starting that particular entity. So entrepreneurs, like I said, the focus is on the money. You start something, you get money. He's not. He takes risk, but he doesn't really have to innovate anything. You say, even if you start something which is already proven, you're an entrepreneur. But for a startup, generally the main idea is innovation. With innovation, if you prove on a long term, for a long term, you eventually make money. So that becomes a byproduct. So you have super cool examples of startups like Airbnb, Uber, Amazon, etc. So what does it take to be an entrepreneur? Can anybody become an entrepreneur? I don't say yes, but tried properly, given the direction, anybody can become an entrepreneur. So you need to have to become an entrepreneur or to start up a company. You need to have a couple of things in you, especially if you are becoming a founder and CEO. You need to have a couple of traits with you, a couple of characteristics with you. You can say, so these are a couple of things I have listed out, where leadership is one of the very important thing you should have. You need, people should look at you for inspiration, or no, at least the people working with you should look up to you for inspiration. That is how you could bind. You can bind your team. Next would be initiation. So if there is a situation and you are able to go forward, you take the initiative first and you take that kind of risk. You are somewhere in the line to become an entrepreneur. And confidence. You have, see, being an entrepreneur, you have to self-motivate a lot of times. Multiple times, day by day. You have to motivate yourself. You have to motivate your people. You have to motivate people around you. You have to motivate people working with you, for you. And then comes adaptability. Because being in the startup industry, there are a lot of ups and downs. You don't see good every time. You always, your growth is dynamic. It can, you can go down a day and next day you can be better. The team might be working efficiently, next day it might not be working. Or you were expecting investment, let's say, and that goes down without any information. So such dynamic things happen, and you need to be ready for them. You need to be ready for all of that. And if the market is changing, you need to adapt according to the market, according to the consumers. So like I said in my journey, I have been changing the domain, or I have been trying different domains and trying to adapt according to the market. So yeah, that is one quality you need to have. And likewise, there are many others which you will impart if you are in line to entrepreneurship. Without telling you, you will definitely have such. You will definitely grow such characteristics. So why become a student entrepreneur? Why not later? There are, people generally say, especially parents or teachers, relatives especially, they tend to tell you that just get your studies done first. Next, do your masters or something, or just get into the job. Placement is very important. So get into the job first, work for some years, and then come out then do whatever you want. So why now? Why should you start as a student and not later? This is a question I generally get from students, or even from the elderly. That's a mindset, I would say. So the first thing I can say is the work life satisfaction. Being in corporates, I have seen n number of people who have been complaining about their work because that is because the work gives you money, the job gives you money, but it is not what you really wanted. If you really wanted to be a management guy, or if you really wanted to be, say, a sports person. Yeah, let's take this example. Let's say you wanted to be a sports person, but if you are working 9 to 7 in a corporate or a sales job, you would really not be happy. Maybe that's paying you more. Maybe in sports it is not even that you could earn, but you won't be happy. You might be getting your money every month on 31st. You get your salary credited, but you won't really be happy. So that's what. But if you are really doing your startup, that is your idea, you would really be happy.
Suchit, sorry to disturb you.
Yes.
Your presentation is not visible again. Can you present it?
Until when could you see it?
That has to be confirmed by participant. One of the couple of the participants, they said not visible for last 5 to 10 minutes.
Oh my God, 1 second.
Because I cannot see the presentation as I am the I request you to share full screen so that it would be better. I think it won't get disconnected in the middle.
I did have shared the full screen.
Okay.
Isn't this visible?
Participants, can any one of you confirm whether it is visible presentation?
No, sir, it's not visible.
Not visible.
Sorry? Suchit, you shared the slides?
I did. It still says presenting. I'm just checking. I don't know what's the issue today. Is it visible now?
No, sir, it is not visible actually.
What is the issue? Could you give permission to share?
Yeah, 1 second, Suchit. I'm giving. Yeah, Suchit, I have given permission from my.
Yeah. Now is
Yeah, now your screen is visible. You can,
okay. There was some issue with the app, I guess.
yeah.
Okay, so where do I start from?
I think you can continue.
Okay, let me just start from here. Yes, so I was saying, work-life satisfaction is what you get when you do what you love. Time, you being a student, if you say if you start at 20, 21 or 22 even, you have a lot of time to you have a lot of time to spend on your startup, to spend on your dream, which you may not have later when once you are say 25 plus. You may not give that kind of time. So ideally, a startup is said to take 5 years to become successful, to be on a run of success. So that kind of time can be given when you are a student, which you may not later. Risk factor. So there are risk factor here. Because you don't have a family responsibilities, you don't have EMIs to pay. It is being taken care by your parents. You can happily afford to think beyond that. But once you have a family to take care, you get married or you have kids, getting the financial commitment itself becomes a bigger headache. So you cannot think anything beyond that. And right now, you don't have that kind of commitment. And being a student, you are able to take bigger risks, even if it costs more, even if you don't have money, even if you are not able to pay yourself, that is okay. You can sustain with lower money. You can sustain with say 2,000, 5,000 rupees, but later it may not be possible. Fresh vision. So, being in college, generally you tend to think of only a couple of things, say your exams, classes, some parties, presentations or paperworks, or your boyfriends or girlfriends, but not really. You don't really have life issues with you, which may start later. So that those are the things which really suppresses the kind of thinking you should need. But when you're a student, you're fresh. You tend to think an awful lot of things. Back in the days, I used to everything I looked at, I could see a social issue from starting from a complaint. But even my project was related to a social issue. So but if same thing, if you ask me now, I don't see everything as a startup opportunity. At least I think of I have a lot of other things to take care of. But being a student, you don't really bother about all that. So that kind of freshness is what you need to utilize right now. learning ocean. So you start. So in the startup journey, all you do initially, at least if you're not successful, they say you're not getting funded, you did not do anything. Later, 5 years are done. Even then, you did not learn, you did not earn anything, or you did not get your startup to become a unicorn. It's okay. Learning opportunities are huge in the startup journey. From say technical, from a civil guy learning technology for the startup because you have to sustain on yourself, to learning life skills, how to sustain with, how to budget the company expenses. From there you learn how to budget your expenses. So such life skills also can be learned in the journey. But and at the end of your journey, or even at the later stage of your journey, you really become a bundle of skills. You have you're not an ordinary. The way you think would be very different from a person who has just got a placement and is working consistently in a company. So the way you think would be very different from him. You tend to think everything, you tend to take everything in a innovative manner, or in a deep manner. You tend to dig deeper in situations than him. You tend to handle the situations better than people who just go with the regular cycle. And yes, you also have many online courses, you have mentors, you have the whole ecosystem, which keeps pushing you to learn beyond your capacity, at your ease again. And the thing, and that too with love, because you're doing it for a purpose. You will love what you learn. So that, and then is the co-founders. Most of the times you tend to find co-founders in your schools, in your colleges, in your events, if you attend. And see, I found my first co-founder in my school, although I did not talk to him much. But later, when we met for an event, we really inclined towards one goal. So that is how you, and once you find a co-founder like that, the relationship lasts longer, and the kind of loyalty you can expect from a person from your college, or at this stage, at a student stage, is a lot more than what you get outside from a stranger or from a new person. So if you find a co-founder in your college stage, that really lasts longer. My first co-founder is still my co-founder in this company. And network. In college, you have many senior entrepreneurs, many people who have already started up. Your alumni, like me, who have already started up, who are really doing good in their business, they can really connect you to multiple mentors, different vendors, or if you need a service, they can refer you somewhere. So that kind of, and all this comes with a brotherhood feeling, because you're an alumni. We do it for free. We tend to give you advices for free. We tend to guide you properly so that you don't do mistakes what we have already done in our journey. So that kind of network is what you get being a student. Yes, free or economical resources. Back in the days I had started up, we didn't really have much support from college, or say from family, or from college. We did not really have that kind of support, because the idea was new. A person going into a business was very new. People really want me that please, you might hamper your studies. Na ghar ka na ghat ka, people say. So people really were really worried. Even when I asked for a couple of hours in a week so that I worked on my startup, I was simply rejected. But now you have an incubation center, you have an innovation center, incubations, you have support from colleges, and they also provide logistics support, especially because you don't believe it, but outside getting a workspace or after getting incubated, paying the rents are really, really high, especially the workstations, the labs, Wi-Fi, uh, mentors, and the advisors. All that costs you money, and huge money. It's not just money, it's huge money. But college provides all of that for either free or at very economical prices, which are not really the case outside. So you can use all of that. And beyond everything, you have tech expertise of the professors with you. You can go to the professors anytime, ask them their help. They'll come down to they will come down to you. They'll help you with your project. They'll help you with your doubts. This kind, and it is very easily accessible. You just okay with the COVID situation. You're not going to the colleges, but say you were in colleges. This is not the case. You can just go. You can just walk into them and ask them help. That kind of access you don't get outside. This is a huge benefit being a student entrepreneur. Then is marketing. It is very easy for you to market your brand or market your product in college, in campus. You tell your friends, or you just put up a banner, or it will reach to almost everyone. Word of mouth. It will reach to almost everyone. People would know there is an app like that. So imagine the kind of efforts put in outside college is huge to get a response of 2,000 people. But in college, you have those 2,000 people ready with you, whom you can reach out very easily. And after that, you can also validate your product with them. If 2,000 people, 2,000 people are using your app, just to give you the feedback, you'll know how effective your product is, or should you go out in the market, or should you make changes. Like, all of that feedback is given to you very easily by your peers. And after that, once your validation, so your initial validation is done in your college. So when you go to the market, you are market ready. So that is also one of the huge benefits you have in campus. And most importantly, like I also mentioned in my journey, that you know yourself. You get to know yourself, what you really like, what you really want to do, how good are you at things, or how bad are you at things. And do you love tech, or do you love non-tech? So I have done my engineering in ECE. But what I tend to do right now is operations, the MBA job. And I did put my foot into the event section, but then I got to know it is not my cup of tea. So I just changed my sector. So you will assess yourself in a broader manner. But say you're just doing a job. You're clicking couple of buttons throughout the day. You won't really know what you really want, and that would trouble you lately once you're done with the things outside. That is when you realize that you really don't know what you want, and then you won't have time to search for it. But in this journey, if you start as a student, you will have a lot of time. You will have peers to help you. You will have your professors to help you. You can find your co-founders with you, near you, and you can happily take risk. These are huge benefits, according to me and according to most of the entrepreneurs, to start up as a student. So there is no age to start up. Although it is easier to start up as a student, there is no age factor involved in startup. You can start at 19, 15. There are people who are now starting at school, and you can even start up at 60, 80, but it is your choice. But if you ask me, yes, starting as a student is a huge benefit as compared to what you do at later ages. So let's talk about startup journey. In this figure, what you see is a regular startup journey. A generalized, a standardized version of a startup journey. So let me just explain it. You have time. You have thinking capabilities. You tend to look at issues. You tend to look at things around you. You notice what is missing. You notice what is required. You notice the problems. You point out the issues outside, and then you sit down. You write. You think of possible solution. You have a problem with you. You pick the problem, and then you think of possible solutions according to you again. Then you make a small presentation, a small prototype, get it to 100 people. Those 100 people, so a prototype becomes a beta version. So you get that to 100 people, that this is my idea, or this is what I want to do. And being a student, this happens at college. In the college level, you get market validated. They tell you, no, this thing is not working. This feature is not really good. I would rather choose a slide up version than a clicking version, or something like that. You take down all these things, and then you iterate your prototype. You iterate your idea. You find a co-founder, and then go for funding. Once you have a small seed fund or angel fund, you launch your product or prototype. Then you start building your business. You start growing your business with that money, and and after that, if again the market validates you there. The first 100 people have anyways validated you, but later with your product, market validates you again, that you might not be getting intended users. Say 1,000 users had to be there in a week, but you're not getting that. You may be getting 10, 20, 100. You go back and reiterate. Get it to the market again. You get the feedback again. You keep iterating it. You keep iterating your product until and unless your growth is as intended to be. So regular growth is about 5% a week. Although there is no study, there is no standardized thing that it has to be 5%. In general, people have given this figure that a 5% growth is a good growth, where it says you are on a success path. And later the funding cycles go on, and this growth go on. So there is a cycle there again, and maybe 4 years, 5 years, you get successful. This is how a startup, general startup cycle works. And say you just want to make money, you don't want to innovate, you don't want to take the stress of identifying problems, finding out new solutions, or you just want to make money, but you want to start up, you don't want to do a job. Great, that is also fine. What you do is you find out a product, or check for things outside, look around you, what products are really a hit. Say maybe a pointer is a hit, or maybe e-commerce website is a hit. So when there was Amazon, which was going on a hit, Flipkart saw it. He made a product which is intended to do the same thing what Amazon does, but then he launched it and he went on to become huge. So that's just an example. So you also can do the same. You find out a product, study on it, just change it the way you want it to be, and follow the same path like we discussed before. But here, once your product is done, you get investment. Then there is a growth, again you get investment. Then there is a growth, again you get investment. At last you become IPO and share your sales. Sell your shares. Sorry. So this is a way people make money, and this is the way people make name. Really give service. So you can choose between these two. But in the startup journey, if you want to start up and take risk, although risk is involved in both of them, but here risk is calculated. You have a calculated risk that there is a certain risk and you are ready to take it. But when it comes here, you really don't know how the market is. You really don't know how it will respond to it, and what would be the growth perspective. So a recent example I can give you is White Hat Junior. Most of you should have known this, that White Hat Junior was taken over by Byju's for $300 million. But how it started, the growth was tremendous. It was huge. It was not intended. That kind of growth was not really intended. But they just started with a small team. They just grew. They were growing at a very small pace. But suddenly there was a situation, that was the COVID-19. People were sitting at home, and there was suddenly a rush for online teaching, and there were very less players in that. That White Hat Junior then got a sudden growth, which they did not expect at all, and suddenly they are now bought for 300 million. So that is how a startup works. You don't know how it works, and there are many startups who keep struggling for years together with their innovative ideas. With maybe there are some mistakes, there may be a luck factor, there may be a research factor involved, but you really cannot expect the growth of a startup, of an innovative idea. But here it is a calculated growth. It is much easier path as compared to that. Just a small example is the InShorts. InShorts is a news app which gives you a news in 60 words. This growth of InShorts, I had seen it personally. I have seen this. I had followed this personally when they first started their Facebook page in 2013. From then I've been seeing their growth. They also started when they were studying. They thought, the problem they could encounter was the news. So many papers, so much news, so much content. How do they grasp? How do they read? That is when they came up with an idea of 60 words news, short news. And then they worked on it. They developed an app. They got funded. And they just went on to become huge, so huge that almost, at least in the startup circle, what I have, almost everyone reads InShorts, so to save time and to be updated with what's happening outside. So this is one of the examples of student entrepreneurs. Although they dropped out of their studies, but they started when they were students. They used the resources which they had. So you also, it is very much possible to grow huge right from college. And this is one of my favorite startups, which is a billion-dollar company now, is Airbnb. This also started with a problem of, they just had an idea. They just rented out their couch just to make money, just to make some money out of it. But later it went on to become, they started acquiring, they are worldwide players now, and a billion-dollar company. They are called unicorns. So you have such examples as well, which really did well in the startup sector, in the innovation sector. So if everybody can see this, this is the kind of conversation which happens in entrepreneurs' mind. At least say 50% of the entrepreneurs are not, you cannot have a straight conversations with them. Although most of them do, but 50% have this kind of conversations in their head, first of all. Sometimes they feel good, suddenly they feel low, and suddenly they feel it's fine, let me just work on it again. So this ups and downs are always there in their minds, because people outside are dynamic. The team you have to manage may not be contributing to you properly. The things may not be happening properly. Maybe you're paying salaries, but you are not earning a penny out of it. So there are a lot of factors which are there in your entrepreneurial journey. But this is how dynamic your thought process be, and it is not really easy at all. So top 20 reasons why startup fail. Out of 1,000, say the success rate in the startup is very low. Because most of the startup just do okay, and generally most of the times people start off, but they're not really focused on their dreams. They're not really they cannot be focused for a longer time. They have to keep motivating themselves. They have to keep motivating their team. So, so these are the, according to a survey, these are the kind of reasons behind startup failures. So mostly market might die, like I said in my ontology. The market really did not, market wasn't really good. So it died. So I had to close down the company to start up another. And maybe you run out of cash. Yes, this is the super top reason where most of the people just close down the startup, because either they have money they don't know how to spend, or they are not able to earn money at all. So whatever the factors are, when you run out of cash, you cannot run business. You cannot run. You have to give salaries. You have to pay the rents, which becomes a burden. So up to a certain time, people take it, and even then, if they're not getting any returns or they're not even getting investment, then it tends to die. So, and the other things are the team. Finding a right team is really, really important, because you have to be very choosy when you are hiring your first team. Because your way of thinking has to be inclined with them. Otherwise, there will be conflict of interest all the time. So you have to be choosy. Like if you want a person, there has to be some qualities you look into it. You look into them. And only then hire them, or only then include them in your team. And other things are pricing, product, maybe you are ignoring the customer feedback, or the investor is not really good, and maybe the logistics are not sufficient, and such reasons. So the only reason for failure is a huge topic in itself. Why startups fail and what should be done is a huge topic in itself. So this is just a glimpse of all the reasons. And the challenges. So mostly, most of the entrepreneurs, when they start up, they don't really know how it is inside, how it is once they step in. And they might not know how the business works. They might not have the required expertise, or they might not be. They might not have leadership qualities in them, which binds the team in the first place. So all such reasons tend to add to the failures of the startups. And you as an entrepreneur have to come up, get up every time, face these challenges and win them. It's not just facing, that you sustain again. There may be misharmony among the team. You have to solve it. There might be a pressure from the investor. You have to answer it. You might be scolded. You have to listen to it. Maybe the process is not right. You have to be flexible to change it. Every situation you have to get up and say, this is your day, and just take it. Good or bad, you have to take it, you have to face it, you have to move forward. Only then you reach a startup. You need success. The path is not really easy. Sometimes you have to lay your own path, in which you get tired and sometimes sleep off in the middle, sometimes just go back. But only the person, or only people who consistently work despite of all the challenges towards a focused goal, that is when you at least reach near success. I don't say success, it's a debatable term again, but at least you might reach near to that. You might sustain the market for a longer time. You might get invested one more time and you make some money. But you have to be strong enough and you have to be focused enough to do it. Only if you are, your team will be. So startup ecosystem, this is your biggest weapon which is available right now in these years. In a couple of years back, until a couple of years back, it was not really the case. There were very limited accelerator programs. There were many very limited incubators. But now you have many. Even the colleges are giving you space. Colleges are giving you support. There are many funding organizations. There are many research organizations. There are many accelerator programs. There are many mentors, advisors, investors who are ready to help you. These are the kind of institutions who are ready to help you, who are ready to support you if you do right, if you are focused, and if you have it in you. Only if you want, if you show them that, they will help you. If you ask them, they will help you. And these are the things you can you can hold on when you have challenges, to face challenges, to win the failures. These are the things which will help you now. Back in the days, it was not the case. You had to do everything on your own. You have to mentor yourself. There was no one outside who have had this kind of journey. The whole journey was new. But now you have people who have been there in the journey, who have crossed the same paths which you are right now, and who have done the same mistakes which you are about to do right now. So use them and start up when you start up in college, being a student. The journey won't be easy at all. It would be tough. You will have hardships. You will see the dark areas of people, of society, but ultimately you learn. You learn a lot. You learn skills. You learn how to live. You learn how to talk. You learn how to present. Even let your so my suggestion to all of you would be, let your idea be successful or not. Let your startup be successful or not. But if you are in the journey, and say suppose you had to go back to a job after 5 years, generally people say 1 year, the gap in your after your education will affect your job. But no, nowadays that used to be the case, say until 2016, 2017, 2018, but not now. People now are open to entrepreneurs, especially the failed entrepreneurs, or who have had that kind of journey. People are really welcoming them, because now people know that these are the kind of guys who can do a wide range of things, from operations to marketing to technical to non to sales. They can do everything. Initially you'll have to sweep your own floor, you have to broom your own floor, you have to do all that. So the companies now know that you can do multiple roles. You have you have that kind of capacity. So if you are in the company, you will add a lot of value to your when compared to your competitor. So people are really open now. Even the MNCs are really open now for people who from the entrepreneur journey, who are stepping out of that and want to join jobs. So there is no harm right now to start off and learn from the path, or learn from all the resources which you have. I bet you will have a better journey, you will have better learning, and you will land into a better position. Maybe only difference maybe your friend has bought a car, say in the second year of his job, or a second year after his graduation. You might buy it after 5 years. But the kind of satisfaction you get, the kind of appreciation you get, the kind of response you get from people is very different. Only thing is, you have to be consistent until that particular time. You have to be patient until that particular time. And if you are, and if you prove yourself, you will definitely conquer heights. Maybe in your own ideas, maybe a job which you take later, but you will definitely see heights for sure with the skills you will possess. So with that, I would end this presentation and be open to questions, if any. And I apologize before ending. I apologize for all the technical hassle which we had to face.
Thank you, Mr. Suchit. Now I request you can unmute yourself, ask Suchit.
Do we have any questions?
So any questions from the participants, or any inputs you want from the Suchit, you can ask. I won't say question. Any inputs if you want, you can ask Mr. Suchit. He'll be happy to answer.
And I would like to add, don't just go by the presentation today, but There are, in person, you can have a better clarity if you have queries. So please do.
So any questions from participants? As Suchit mentioned, apart from this presentation, if you have any doubts, you can ask.
Good afternoon, sir. This is
Good afternoon.
Ashrita from IIC. Like, I just have a doubt. Why do you prefer that students and entrepreneurs, like the student age itself, like after some experience can become right? Like, why do you prefer student by the age of student only you need him to be an entrepreneur?
Okay, you're asking me why do you need a student entrepreneur and why not later, right?
Like after gaining some experience, why can't he be an entrepreneur?
See, you can definitely be an entrepreneur after gaining experience, but it is easier and better if you start off right now. Because see, I'll tell you what happens. Uh, Say you landed a job into some ex company, some ex MNC for IT support. Mostly, generally, what we have right now is support jobs. So say you have landed into a support job and 5 years you have spent in the support job. What hurdles you get? One, family responsibilities, financial responsibilities, which includes your EMIs, your car, your house, and everything. And next, the main thing would be the dormancy. You become dormant in the first in the 5 years that you spend on a single job, because you will be doing same set of things every day. Your mindset becomes rigid. You would only want to do, you won't be flexible enough or fresh enough for ideas, or taking challenges. But that can be done when you are a student, because you don't have any commitments. You don't have to worry about anything. You only keep learning being a student. You may not be successful as in 100% of everyone, but you will learn a lot during this journey, which I don't think the experience so-called will give you in the corporates. I hope that answers.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions or queries? Suggestions also are okay. You can ask me anything actually.
Suchit, one question or suggestion from my side, because I can ask
Yes,
this
yes,
question rightly because you are our own alumni.
yes.
So where you suggest faculty members to encourage the students on what areas to make them an entrepreneur, or to create an interest amongst the students to become entrepreneurs?
So creating interest is generally with the what faculty can do is generally help. I mean, ask them to explore things. Instead of say in every class or a weekly session, wherein you share ideas with each other. In the class itself, if we can have an interactive session where people share ideas, talk about it openly. And so when a peer is giving an idea, sitting on, you would a student, the next student would also think, what should I speak now, or what can I think in those lines. So until I told them, even in during my time, until I told them there is a website called 2019.com where you find so-called internships. Nobody really knew. But after that, people came forward speaking about it. So it can be done from the faculty also. Uh, People start opening up themselves. That is the first step. They start opening up themselves talk about it, care about an idea, think about pros and cons of an idea. A mini ideathon every week where you share ideas, criticize the ideas, give feedback about the ideas, where it lacks, where it might not be. So that sessions really help brainstorm students. So I think be one thing. If you talk about technology, that where should we encourage them? Data science and data is what I suggest. But in general, if you talk about entrepreneurship, these sessions would be really, really helpful.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Yes. I hope I answered the question.
Yes, 100%. So any questions from the participant side?
If this would have been a personal session, it would have there would have been no presentation. It would have been only interaction. So I would really great if people could ask questions.
I think if there is no questions, we can
Yes.
wind up the session. I wholeheartedly thank taking out your time and sharing your experiences. And I personally say, more than a presentation today, I could see your personal experience, which really gave a motivation to the students. And as you correctly mentioned at the end, if it is like a offline session, personally also will really give the benefit to the students. Hopefully, if the pandemic get completed, surely we'll invite you to our campus once again, and we want your guidance to our students in this aspect. And I also proudly say, behalf of Sri Venkateshwara College of Engineering, Suchit, we have started IIC Cell, Institute Innovation Council, where we are motivating students to become entrepreneurs. We are motivating to give their ideas in the form of ideathon, participating in hackathons, and also making them to patent their ideas, go with the implementation, starting from idea to POC, and our honorable CEDs are very keen about it. We have come up with a R&D building called QRites within our campus, which is really helping students to come with their own ideas. So this is a kind of update from SVCE. I personally request, on behalf of our college, do come and visit when you feel like when you come to our college. Sir.
Sure. Definitely.
Thank you so much, Sujit, once again, behalf of Venkateshwara College of Engineering and my own behalf from the IIC Cell Sri Venkateshwara College of Engineering, who is organizing this event. So I wholeheartedly thank you.
Yes, I thank everyone for patience hearing uh, to call me as a speaker.
Thank you.
We are very happy to you see you actually please visit our
Dear participants, due to there is a technical glitch where we couldn't able to share the feedback in the chat box, I'll be presenting the screen after the vote of thanks. You can copy the link and you can give the feedback. So before the feedback, I request Professor Revana Siddhappa sir to present the vote of thanks. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Satyanarayana sir. So I am Revana Siddhappa Madhyadi, working as assistant professor in the Department of Civil Engineering, IIC-Bengaluru. It's my privilege to propose vote of thanks on this session. I, on behalf of SVCE Management, Principal and Institute Innovation Council of SVCE, and on my own behalf, extend a very hearty vote of thanks to the today's speaker, Mr. Suchit Reddy, for accepting our invitation and making your time for sharing your few important key points for our students to become entrepreneurs or to establish their own startups. Thank you, sir. It was a very inspiring session for all of us. Thank you very much. I thank our respected chairman, Sri V. Muniappa sir, our respected Chief Executive Director, Dr. Shashidhar Muniappa sir, SVGI, for their gracings and support towards organizing this event. I thank our beloved principal, Dr. Nageshwar Gupta sir, for his constant support and encouragement for organizing this event. I also thank HODs of all departments, deans, and all my faculty friends for your presence and cooperation throughout this webinar. Thank you. I thank Curate's head, Dr. Nirmala Gupta madam, and all my IIC and NISP team members, including faculty and students, for your teamwork on successful conduction of this webinar. Finally, I thank all students and faculty members of various other institutes from all over India for your presence and interest throughout the event. Hope this event was helpful for all the participants gathered here. Thank you, Ananda. Over to you, sir. Satyanarayana, sir.
Thank you so much, sir, for rendering the vote of thanks. Dear participants, so the feedback link has been shared in the chat box. If it is not visible to few of the participants, I'll also be sharing the PPT where you can take off. I thank once again Suchit for taking out the time. Thank you very much, Suchit.
Thank you so much, Suchit. It was really wonderful, and I think most of our students will get benefited. And personal thanks from all of us. Thank you, Suchit.
So dear participant, you can see the feedback link in the PPT. You can copy it down and you can give the feedback. Certificates will be shared once you give the feedback. Thank you so much. Just a second, I'll share once again. So hope feedback link is visible. You can copy the link and you can give the feedback.